This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News, news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Welcome, Black family, to another wonderful edutainment, informational, inspirational, motivational edition of the Artivist presents We All Be News and Radio. And also, the Artivist thinks. If you think, therefore you are, and if you are, therefore you will be. You will be whoever you want to be. And that's we all be. All right, everybody. So much stuff to talk about. Yes, I've been busy trying to get all this information. Because information is knowledge. Knowledge is powerful if you know how to apply it. And there's a war for the truth. There's a war on information. If white supremacy is willing to fight on a lie, we must use the truth to be able to liberate our troops. If white supremacy is willing to fight on a lie, we must use the truth to liberate our troops. So yeah, that's me. That's Brother Ron, aka R2C2H2, the Artivist. About to head into that month of August 2015. I call it Black August, the real Black History Month. So many of our great innovators, revolutionaries, thinkers, contributors to the melanated people and to the rest of the world was born this month. So many things that is pivotal to the narration of our people happened this month, whether it be insurrections or revelations or inspirations. You got so many great music geniuses born. August 29th was Charlie Yardbird Parker's birthday, as well as the king of pop, Michael Jackson. So you had the king of jazz and the king of pop both sharing the birthday of August 29th. Then you have old Pops Armstrong, August the 4th. La da da big da do do da dick da. And also on August 4th, there's the comedic genius Paul Mooney. But also you had Soul Out brothers, George Jackson, Jonathan Jackson. You know, you had Nat Turner's revolution, his insurrection down in Virginia back in 1831. You had the Honorable Brother Mosiah or Marcus Mosiah Garvey. He was born this month as well. So we have a lot of great, heroes and sheroes, a lot of great committed people to the liberation struggle of our people that took place in this space known as August. I call it Black August, the real Black History Month for that reason. But anyway, I digress. We're coming out of July. I ain't gonna lie. We're coming out of July. And I believe July 12th is the birthday of not only, the birthday, I believe, of one Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, America's favorite dad, according to some people. Or America's favorite dad to hate, according to many people. And I just want to talk about Bill Cosby a little bit. I'm not into Cosby bashing. I don't bash Bill Cosby. I don't bash the man. I just want to talk about him and his legacy, because I know this came up on a couple of shows I have done recently. It is fascinating to me. It is very fascinating to me. And I knew I'll be in for a ride when you got white people saying that Bill Cosby is the greatest serial rapist in American history. I'm saying, no, he's not. If he was a great American serial rapist, we will have a holiday for him like we do for Columbus Day. To me, Christopher Columbus is a great American serial rapist. To me, Thomas Jefferson is a great American serial rapist. Bill Cosby, in comparison to them, they treat him like he was playing for the Negro Leagues. His numbers don't count, because it's not in their institution. It's not in their league, quote unquote. So, getting back to Bill Cosby, I remember I found out that he blocked me recently on Twitter, and his official Bill Cosby. I don't know if Bill Cosby even reads his tweets or if he's even tweeting. I knew a couple years ago that he was involved with a Centcast. That was a part of Blog Talk Radio. That he was doing some things with Blog Talk Radio people, Centcast, and also Blog Talk. But other than that, I'm not sure if he's actually tweeting or reading his tweets or reading people's response. I just knew that I went on Twitter not too long ago, maybe like almost 2 weeks ago, and try to, connect. And that's how I was blocked, and I was surprised. But it didn't hurt my feelings because it wasn't something that I said. Maybe it was something that people said on my show. And, you go on my YouTube channel, got a lot of people that I interviewed, and I always ask them what they thought about Bill Cosby recently anyway. Whether it be his dear friend, Dick Gregory. I can remember when Dick Gregory was, quote unquote, dying from that cancer that the government gives you. They had a benefit for Dick Gregory, I think about 2000, at the Kennedy Center. And Bill Cosby was the MC for that. And it was interesting because, he had these people, all these stars. Dick Gregory did so much for so many other people. He's one of them true unsongs from the civil rights movement. Like, he actually donated his life as well as millions of dollars to the movement. He's actually the inspiration for Freedom Summer that happened back in 1964 in Mississippi that brought all them white college students down south to work alongside the black community. And the reason why I know this is because I went to the 50th anniversary of Freedom Summer down at Tougaloo College down in Jackson back in June of 2014. He actually was the keynote speaker at the gala, the closing gala or dinner. And it was a documentary that came out that year, well done documentary, called Freedom Summer that was produced in connection with PBS, and they screened it on the first night. And I think Dick Gregory came up, and people said, I don't know, it was Bob Moses, the founder of the Algebra Project and a true civil rights icon. It's one of those people that was talking, and they said, oh, Dick Gregory was the inspiration for Freedom Summer because what he did down in Greenwood when the government, or when the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission cut off people food stamp benefits and whatnot at Greenwood. A lot of black folks live in Greenwood, Mississippi, and it cut the community from much needed food. And Dick Gregory actually chartered a plane with the help, I believe, of Hugh Hefner, if I'm not mistaken, the founder and visionary of Playboy, of the Playboy empire. Helped Dick Gregory charter a plane full of food. He actually flew down himself on the plane to deliver the food and other needs to the people. So they had a Thanksgiving down in Greenwood because of Dick Gregory, and he was able to inspire actually the Freedom Summer movement. And he's an interesting man. But we're talking about his friend. But anyway, at the gala, at the tribute for Dick Gregory, I guess to raise awareness and money for his treatment of the cancer that the government will give you if you speak out too loudly. If you protest too loudly, they give you a form of cancer. Just ask Dick Gregory, ask Farrakhan. The Louis Farrakhan had that type of cancer as well almost 10 years ago. But I digress. But the people, Bill Cosby was the MC for that event. That's how close they are. Bill Cosby was the MC for that fundraising tribute event. And, what struck me as interesting, when I look back on that, I saw clips of the gala or the tribute fundraiser for Dick Gregory online about not too long ago. And you can see that the people that were there that was trying to help Dick Gregory was Sister Coretta Scott King, the wife of Dr. King, and also Sister Rosa Parks, the quote-unquote mother of the civil rights movement, of the modern civil rights movement, the Montgomery bus boycott hero icon. They was actually there paying homage to Dick Gregory, and it was ironic. Within the next 5 to 6 years, both of those women would be dead. And we're in 2015, and Dick Gregory's still around. And now his friend is on the fire, Mr. Bill Cosby, his brother in comedy, brother in laughter, somebody he was real close to, is under fire now. And Dick is still on the ground, hotter than ever, doing sold out comedy tours with people like Paul Mooney, who just recently confirmed that he has dementia, or his family did, which is a shout out to Paul Mooney. Saw him in Memphis back last weekend of July the 24th, actually on Sunday, July 26th, in Memphis. His 5th show here, probably his last show in Memphis, because now this is the farewell tour from my understanding. But getting back, I digress. Get back to Bill Cosby. And Mr. Bill, I would say this about Bill Cosby. I can't really say anything truly bad in terms of my personal interactions with him. Even after getting blocked by him on Twitter, I have no ill will towards the man. I think that in terms of his legacy, that he's a comedic genius and a true visionary when it comes to educating people of color, of inspiring people of color to get an education. Being behind the comedy show A Different World, it did inspire me to want to go to college and better myself. Even though I didn't go to HBCU, just looking at the Cosby Show and looking at A Different World that came after after it on Thursdays, was a sacred time. It was like going to church for me, and I'm sure for a lot of Black Americans in the country, and also it was a time for white America. It helped them look at Black people a different way. And I ain't saying all white people, but I remember I had my third grade teacher who was a white lady, and she loved Bill Cosby. She used to look at him every Thursday, spoke very highly of him. And I mean, that just helped me as a Black person see me in a different way. Because one thing that Malcolm gave us, and it can never be underestimated, what Malcolm means to Black people. But one thing he did as far as his legacy that people don't bring up enough is that he opened our eyes to the power of the media. The media is so powerful how we view ourselves. It's very powerful. And it's very important that we have a very positive view of ourselves as Black people, as people, period. People should always try to have a positive image of themselves available to counter what is put out there by different entities that's not in the best interest of people that look like me a lot of times. Because people believe more than what they know is true. People rather believe in something than to know if it's true or not. That's why I don't really debate people over religions anymore, their religious beliefs. Because I don't care if you can present some of the most thorough facts there is. If somebody believes in something more than they believe in reality, that belief becomes their reality. Let me just repeat that slowly. If somebody believes in something more than they believe in reality, that belief becomes reality. So I'm just want to get this Malcolm X quote. He's been dead for 50 years. He would have been 90 this year. And we still don't do a good job as Black folks to honor the memory of Malcolm. By number one, he told us that only a fool will let their enemies be the primary educator of their children. Let me repeat that once more. Only a fool will let their enemy be the primary educator of their children. So when I hear about Black folks complaining about the quality of the schools for their kids, when I hear about them saying they're making them read this book or that book, that's on us, because it takes a village. That means if you want to control the education, you must control the curriculum, which means you must develop the curriculum. That means you must start writing the books that tell our stories, creating the documentaries, because the foundation of education is knowledge itself. If it's not teaching you knowledge itself, it's not education, it's indoctrination. But let me read this quote from Malcolm, and I'm tied this to Bill Cosby. I know people say, well, you go all over the place. Like, to me, this is my job. I'm like Johnny Appleseed. I'm planting seeds of thoughts, seeds of ideas. My thing, I call myself a thought provocateur. I want to provoke thought. I'm not interested in controlling how you think or what you think about or why you think. I just want you to think for yourself. When you think for self, you can do for self. When you do for self, that means you believe in self. Understand? But Malcolm's quote, the media is the most powerful entity on the earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. And that's power because they control the minds of the masses. Once again, Brother Malcolm, wisdom, understand the wisdom. You can kill a man, but you can't kill a dream. Okay? You can kill the man, but you can't kill the idea. You can kill the revolutionary, but you cannot kill the revolution. This is why Malcolm is so dangerous, even dead. Because he's not really dead. You can't kill energy. You can't kill the spirit. The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and make the guilty innocent. And that's power because they control the minds of the masses. So with that said, how we viewing Bill Cosby right now, name me one Black media outlet that has the leverage of a CNN or an NBC or a Huffington Post or anything, or a New Yorker or anything. You guys are thinking about it. It's very Shakespearean. Why now? Who benefits from the removal of the king? Now, Bill Cosby has done some things in the past. Like I said, he's a true unsung Black philanthropist. He actually helped put his money where his mouth was. He actually did promote Black culture, not only through his TV shows, but actually supporting Black visual art. His wife, with her project to record the oral history of some of my greatest icons, our movers and shakers of our community. Truly educated people, truly educators, artists in his own right, an artivist in her own right, Dr. Camille Cosby. these folks really believe in telling their people's story, but is their story being told correctly by the powers that be media, by the white folk media, by the corporate media? I said corporate media outlets. But anyway, with that said, he's been a great supporter of black educational institutions, not just fictional ones, but real ones, not just Hillman, but Spelman. And it's fortunate to hear that Spelman is terminating their scholarship or the money, or they're not taking money anymore from Bill Cosby. I say give back everything that Bill Cosby has given the institution. Because it is sad that a lot of institutions that have benefited from the Cosby brand and from the Cosby bucks or money over the years have now severe ties with him under questionable circumstances. Now, I don't believe in rape. I don't endorse rape. I don't believe in promoting rapists. But here's the thing. America is a rape culture. It's like, like Dr. King said, the greatest purveyor of violence on the planet today is my own government. As it was true in 67, so it is still true in 2015. As it was true in 1967, so it still rings true in 2015, almost 50 years later. So we got to start thinking about that. I remember looking at, I don't know, it was 2020. I want to say it was 2020, where they went over, maybe about 20-something years ago, they interviewed Saddam Hussein. And Saddam Hussein was showing out one of his mansional palaces to the interviewer. And he showed him, his prized collection of things was actually his video collection. And in that video collection, guess what he had? He had movies like Scarface, like Terminator, like The Godfather, things like that. It's like if you was going back in the day on MTV, MTV Cribs, and you was looking at a rapper's crib, a gangster rapper crib, they had a big poster of what? Of Scarface. All the Scarface stuff, all the Godfather stuff. Maybe 48 Laws of Power, the book by Robert Greene. So actually, Saddam Hussein was a big fan of Hollywood and their propaganda. It's propaganda. And go back to what Malcolm said, it's the media, it's the perception. So it's like, you go around the world and a lot of folks may think that all black people in America, all we do is sing and rap and play sports, which is not the case. There's a lot of black folks that make their money from other means, and you don't know who their names are. Because some of the most powerful people in the world, some of us don't even realize they exist. Like I always tell people, if you look at the death of a president or a state funeral anywhere, the most important people in the room are standing by the folks that you know well. Like the person or people that stand around Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, and you have no idea who they really are. Those are the most powerful people in the room. Because like that Notorious B.I.G. quote, don't you know that bad boys move in silence and violence? Don't you know that bad boys move in silence and violence? That's the name of the game. Keep a low profile. Don't get caught. Because it's not a crime unless you get caught. Has Bill Cosby been caught? It's debatable. Has he snitched on himself? Yes, he told on himself. But really, in what context? He admitted, in a closed, or was an affidavit, it's supposed to be closed testimony, that he did acquire Quaaludes. They were known as disco biscuits back in the day. So what was back in the day for Bill Cosby? We got to think about it. It was the sexual revolution. It was free love for everybody. It was the casting couch phenomenon. The casting couch. I can remember a friend of mine. She actually wanted to be a Hollywood director, and she went to school with me. And I can remember telling me, I asked her why she leave Hollywood, because she ended up leaving Hollywood and going back to school to get her PhD. And said that everybody want to fuck. I said, what? So everybody want to have sex or to get ahead. She said, yeah, in order to get ahead in Hollywood, it's like you got to have sex with the right type of people. You got to do sexual favors. I said, really? Wow. And so this is I guess she had a moral compass, and she had a moral code that could not abide by these things to get ahead. They had to get different ways to, she had to find different means to the end. And being on somebody's couch or being somebody's a dick holder wasn't the way for her to go in that case. And I also met her brother. He's a very talented film director as well. He told me he tried to get on certain film productions and stuff. It was a woman that said, I can get you in, but you got to fuck me. So it go both ways, not just a woman getting taken advantage of by the system. You also got men being taken advantage of by the system. So I mean, it's a weird, culture. It's not really weird. It's American culture, because American culture is rape culture. So it's big. And Bill Cosby a rapist. That's debatable. Is he the biggest serial raper or rapist in American history? Oh hell no! I told you, we make holidays for folks like that. We call them 4th of July and Columbus Day and Thanksgiving. We got holidays for our big time rapists. So that's the thing. That's how I feel about it. Don't take my word for it. So take a look. It's in a book. Anyway. Yeah, Bill Cosby, I'm going to place. Okay, you got to think about it. His heyday, his era. He's on television, I Spy. He's a very well-known brother back in the day. People say, well, how can Bill Cosby get away with raping that many white women like 50 years ago, 40 years ago? They still were hanging black folks. They still were killing black folks. They still killing black folks now for messing around with white people or white women. Just look at the Lennon Lacey thing out of North Carolina back in August of last year. He was dating a 31-year-old white woman, recently separated from her husband. And he was in a small town that was nicknamed Cracker Town because all the white folks there, they live in trailer parks, I guess. But they'll have him pushed back, and they found him hanging from a swing set in the middle of a trailer park with just predominantly white people. So that's still debatable. And then we got August. We got the 60th anniversary of the lynching of Emmett Till. He allegedly wolf whistled at a white woman, Carolyn Bryant, at a grocery store in the Mississippi Delta. Next thing you know, he was kidnapped from his bed. He was sleeping with his cousins in the bed, and he was kidnapped from his great uncle's home. And they found his body in the next 3 days later, bloated from the water, eye missing, just horribly disfigured. He was 14 years old. Then also in Mississippi, you had the electrocution death, the state execution of Willie McGee, whose only crime was sleeping with a white woman. They said it was rape, but black and white in that town said it was consensual. And even on the last day of his life, brother Willie McGee said that it was consensual, that she wanted it as much as he wanted it, according to the son of the prosecutor who sent him to the chair. He basically said that would happen. But anyway, get back. Okay, Bill Cosby. I don't think you can get away with that. So I don't care how powerful you think you are as a black person. This still is a white man's system. I don't see how you can get away with all that. And then you look at the circumstance. Some of the women said they kept on coming back to him over the years. They formed a relationship with this guy over the years. They took money from him. Some of them were able to, acquire homes or places to live and even go to school, I guess. I haven't read everything so closely. I'm just thinking it's very interesting that, people will even classify that as a rape, where the woman is coming back over the years. I call that some type of dysfunctional relationship. Is it a rape? I don't know, because they're taking money, they're getting goods, they're acquiring goods and whatnot. It's a relationship, because a rape to me is like something that happens that you don't want to happen, and you were violated. But how can you say you violated when he's compensating you? So that's the thing I'm trying to figure out. How is it violation when it's compensation that you seeking? And and you mad because he ends the relationship, and then you want to call it rape. It's convenience. In America, everything's about convenience. It's about shortcuts. It's about finding some leverage, finding an advantage. Not always doing things the right way, but finding the right shortcut at the right time to get what you want. So I'm not saying that nobody got raped by Bill Cosby, ever got raped by Bill Cosby. But, to me, I look at, for example, when Beverly Johnson, the former supermodel, came out and said that Bill Cosby almost raped her, supposedly. My thing is this: she even told on herself in that quote unquote exclusive, like talking about how, she go to these wild parties. I'm paraphrasing, I'm not doing the word. This is an actual quote, but just read it for yourself. Basically, she's letting people know, hey, she's not a virgin. She wasn't the Virgin Mary. She's not a virgin. She's a model. She went through the entertainment industry, the modeling industry, wild parties. Everybody's doing cocaine, drugs, whatever, disco biscuits. Everybody's having the orgies, and everybody's doing it day in and day out. So that was just a part of the culture. That's what I'm saying. We look at it and try to judge him on what's going on now versus the reality of now. But what was the reality back then? It was about the sexual revolution. They got a very popular Showtime TV show called The Masters of Sex that talks about uh, sex pioneers in the time of the sexual revolution. Dr. Masters and his assistant, Johnson, who eventually became Mrs. Masters later on. And, they talk about how that was started at my school, my alma mater, Washington University in St. Louis. So I think they paid Showtime a lot of money, or somebody got paid something, do all the damn product placing and name dropping to watch you in that show. But they started that, sexual experimentation, part of that, at Washington University in St. Louis in an academic setting, and it became a cultural phenomenon of free love. Everybody's getting, everybody getting with everybody. So everybody passed around everybody like a blunt. So basically Beverly Johnson and so many other women would pass around like blunts around, everybody was getting some. Because it ain't fun if the homies can't have none. It ain't fun if the homies can't have none. All right? Let's get back to that. I'm just throwing out, man, this man crazy. Yeah, I'm a little bit crazy. You gotta be a little bit creatively maladjusted. As a black person, you should be so well adjusted to the fuckery that you use connection with who you really are. Know thyself to free thyself. You understand? But with Bill Cosby, once again, getting back to Bill Cosby. So he had a relationship with so many people that extended for years, from what I'm understanding. And they came back and gave him favors, and they did a favor for him, yada, yada, yada. So how is that rape? I don't know. You tell me. And also, we're talking about the exploitation. When those women got on the cover, the alleged victims and suspect victims of Bill Cosby's wanderlust, quote unquote, they recently took a photo on a popular magazine. I'm trying to figure out what that magazine is. Thank God for the internet. The internet is powerful. They're on a New York magazine about 35 women who have accused Bill Cosby of rape. Yeah, they got problems. To me, that's exploitation. It's like you almost like, people saying, well, they brave for coming out. I'm saying that's kind of like a rape to me. Exploitation is. They exploiting this, but that's our culture right now. Like I said, we come out of rape culture, and I could just break that down in some other videos, some other time. But it just speaks to the interest that everybody's trying to get their minutes of fame. Like Andy Warhol said, everybody in the future will have their 15 minutes of fame. And now you get stretched that 15 minutes via the internet, social media. I don't think Andy Warhol, man, if Andy Warhol was around with the social media phenomenon, man. But, he was a prophet in knowing that everybody would have their time in the sun, and every dog has his day. So, yeah, well, Bill Cosby, man, it's crazy to me. Now, why? Because now he try to buy who he pissed off. I know Bill Cosby had that, multi-million dollar deal with Netflix. He was in talk of reviving some type of version of the Cosby Show with a major network. And remember one time we had this pushback when his son got killed to acquire him, because I think he was trying to acquire NBC. And I think his partner, in one of his businesses, is Dr. J, the great basketball icon. I think they ran a Coca-Cola business together. Like they was partners in Coca-Cola and some other ventures. And people don't really talk about when Dr. J's son got killed. They found his body, I believe, in a lake in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. They always talk about Bill Cosby. The white supremacy, they don't play, man. They'll take your people out. When Bill Cosby tried to buy NBC, he had the backers, he had the resources and funds. Then his son get killed, and you hear no more of that. And that's fascinating. People said, it was random, it was settled, just like Michael Jordan's dad. They killed them on purpose, because you cannot justify cremating his body. If you look at the man's mouth, he had extensive dental work. He was no homeless, poor man. He was a man of means. If they wanted to, they could have found out who he was through his dental records. If he was so decomposed, and also he had a brand new car. I'm just saying, there's a lot of things to that story, and you guys got to use critical thinking. Because they get cremation to cover up evidence of what actually happened. And them guys might not even kill Michael Jordan dead. The ones who serving their lives in prison right now. So, I just want people to think that and know that the official story is not the actual factual story. It's the official lie that the powers that be approve of. So we gotta start thinking like that, ladies and gentlemen. Scholars of laymen. Yeah, they found Dr. J. son was found dead. And he had allegedly a drug problem. They found him dead. It said it's actually in Sanford, Florida. Oh, I'm reading an article from the Sun Sentinel. I'm thinking it took place in Sanford, Florida. Let me read this right quick. Should be that long. The body of the 19-year-old son of basketball legend Julius Erving was found inside his car in a pond near his parents' Seminole County home Thursday afternoon. Now, this article is dated July the 7th, 2000. Seminole County Sheriff Don Esslinger paid a midnight visit to the Erving home to break the news to the family. The teenager had been missing since May 28th. An investigator and 3 residents dragged a retention pond at the west end of Alaqua Lakes. About 4:15 p.m. Thursday, Corey Erving's body was discovered inside his submerged car. Investigators had been looking for Corey Marvin Erving and his 99 black Volkswagen Passat since he called his parents from Heathrow on May 28th to say he was driving home for a family gathering. A sheriff's spokesman said a full statement had been prepared but would not be released until the sheriff gave the family all the details of what authorities think had happened to the troubled teenager since he disappeared. The National Basketball Association legend and Orlando Magic executive known worldwide as Dr. J had pleaded on national television for information about his son's whereabouts. Within the first few days of Corey Erving's disappearance, authorities received more than 200 calls from tipsters, but the investigation eventually slowed to a trickle despite a $50,000 reward for information. From the beginning, Corey Erving was listed as missing and endangered. Detectives knew that even when the youth was going through drug rehabilitation, he kept in contact with his family. Investigators said Erving, an identified man in East Altamont Springs, fought about 2 weeks before his disappearance. Erving's car had been vandalized. Police said Erving was upset and tried to purchase a gun to retaliate. Then he vanished. 3 weeks ago, deputies interviewed Seminole County jail inmates arrested in unrelated drug stings who had lived in the area where the fight took place. They also dragged a lake and retention pond in the neighborhood. His car was not recovered. Police did turn up Erving's wallet with his RDV Sportsplex card. A young girl told police he had traded it for some of her CDs. Interesting. Wow. Julius Erving, who dominated professional basketball for a decade, forged a successful business career after retirement and settled into a comfortable life with his family in Alaqua. This is how he said it. An exclusive golf course community near Lake Mary. Okay, that is also interesting. Let me just continue to read this. I think I'm not that long, but I'm gonna let y'all know. It sounds like foul play to me. It sounds like foul play. I don't know if they ever follow up and figure out if he was killed. Somebody ran him off the road. Somebody killed him, put him in the car, and just dumped him in the pond. But I don't know. This is why it's so important. And this is why you got to use the internet. Because it's a powerful tool. Because information is power. So okay, we'll continue. 2 of Julius and Turquoise Erving's 4 children are carving out their own successful niches. Julius III, 26, with sports and entertainment businesses in Philadelphia, and daughter Jasmine, 23, who graduated from Spelman College and has been accepted for further studies at Georgia State. Corey Erving's life has been filled with privilege but also with struggle. He suffered with learning disabilities, and until the 8th grade grew up in schools that had programs for kids with special academic needs. Okay, so I guess I don't have to read all the, but I'm going to get the idea. That also, Bill Cosby's son Ennis had learning disabilities. I don't know if he was dyslexic or something like that, but you can look that up. But Bill Cosby and Dr. J, they were both, business partners. I believe, I want to say in Coca-Cola, some type of Coca-Cola franchise, bottling operation somewhere. I don't want to say it in Philadelphia, I'm gonna look that up right quick too. I'm gonna look that up. That's why you gotta use this internet, man. It's not just about, listening to songs and seeing what Meek Mill and Drake is saying about each other through SoundCloud. Use this thing as a tool. Use this thing as a tool to get ahead, black people. Use it as a tool to get ahead. It's very important. But, and the thing about Bill College, and it said that a lot of these schools like Spelman College and Temple University, who had great relationships in terms of taking Bill Cosby money to do what they want to do, now they turn their backs on him. And the reason why they turn their backs, I look at Bill Cosby. I always bring up the example of Marion Barry. I always tell people that Marion Barry, he always had the love of people. If you go up to D.C., and Marion Barry's a homeboy from Memphis. He went to Booker T. Washington High School in Memphis. That's the same high school that Maurice White, the founder of Earth, Wind, and Fire, the visionary behind Earth, Wind, and Fire, he went to Booker T. Washington High School in Memphis as well, South Memphis. And Marion Barry went to HBCU in South Memphis, known as Lamar Owen College. And he was the first chairman of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So Marion Barry was a brilliant brother who was like just a couple credits away from being a chemist, a scientist. And instead, he devoted his life to serving his people through grassroots organizing and through being a politician, being the successful mayor of Washington, D.C. The reason why Marion Barry had the love and the protection for his complexion was because he loved black folks. He never threw black folks under the bus. He developed programs for black folks to excel who never had a chance. Like his Pride program helped brothers come out of prison to learn skills, to learn a trade so they can create businesses and take care of themselves and their families. You had black folks and white folks and anybody who, as a youth who wanted to work, he created youth programs where everybody in the summer got jobs, regardless of your social economic status. You had black folks that were able to go to college for the first time, to be the first ones in their family to go to college based on the economic initiatives and social service initiatives that Brother Marion Barry initiated. Like people be joking, like you could dig up his body right now, exhume Marion Barry right now and run him for office, and he will win an office in D.C. Because when he died, he was like an alderman in D.C. So Marion Barry, to me, he set the standard because he never turned his back on his people. And when they were trying to get rid of him and set him up in D.C., the white power structure, black folks had his back. If Marion Barry did anything wrong, I would believe that he'll be able to go into the black community and be protected by black folks. Because all the stuff he did for our people, what I'm saying? He's one of the greatest politicians we ever produced. To me, it's Marion Barry and Adam Clayton Powell Jr. They two of the best we ever had. They really got the job done. And people could do a lot or learn a lot to study these brothers who did the right thing by us the majority of the time. So getting back to Bill Cosby, what hurt him was that 2004 NAACP pound cake speech where he did, where he basically said it was okay for a black child or anybody to be shot in the back over a piece of pound cake. It's never okay to kill anybody over a piece of pound cake, over anything. I can still recall some years ago when I read about a brother here in Memphis was shot at a dollar store over stealing a candy bar by the security guard. He was shot to death over stealing a dollar candy bar from a dollar store and by a security guard. And I keep on thinking to myself, it stayed with me all these years. Was it worth killing that brother or anybody over a candy bar? My thing is, he must have been really, really hungry to want to steal a dollar candy bar. Where's the compassion? Where's the humanity? Where's the empathy? Where's the sympathy? It's really sad. But a lot of people think it's okay, even with police brutality cases. You've got a lot of black folks that want to blame the victim. Well, maybe they could have changed the tone of their voice. Maybe they could have answered a little bit faster and politer. You always blame the victim when a black person is victim of white supremacy. Even the black folks will blame the victim. Even Ida B. Wells was caught up at that at the beginning, before she found out the truth about what a lynching was. It wasn't until her friends got lynched. A business guy, a successful businessman named Thomas Moss, and his two business partners got lynched, that Ida B. Wells saw things differently. She thought the black people that were getting hanged and lynched and mutilated, they were criminals because that's what the white media was putting out there. That was a narrative. They were raping white women and they were stealing and robbing and stuff. They were degenerates. But then when her friends got killed, especially the guy who was the leader of the Memphis community got killed, and one of his last words was, "Tell my people to go west. They can't get no justice in Memphis." I'm paraphrasing it. But what I'm saying is, sometimes it's too late. We don't really pay attention to something happened to us or our family and our friends. It's like we don't really care until something happened to us or affects us. That's when we care. And sometimes it's too late. You should have cared before, because I look at people too. They say, well, I don't know my child's friends. And then that child, they could raise their child good, send them to the best schools. But then they might, connect with somebody from the hood or from a different track who might not come from a well-nourishing home or supportive environment. But yeah, that might be your child's best friend. And my thing is, if you want to keep your child alive and protect your child, you must also extend some type of protection, support, and love to their best friends. Because by you helping their friend out, it keeps your child out of any type of trouble as well. Like if you're going to give your kid an internship or try to get your kid ready for college, I would advise any parents take an interest in your kid's friends and make sure they have opportunities to excel too. Because the very life you may save may not be the friend per se, but may be your own child and your own family some grief. You save your family some grief. So there's some wisdom I'm picking up along the way, just from observing and listening to folks who had to learn it out the hard way, unfortunately. So, with Bill Cosby, when he said that speech, and people said, well, it was a public speech. Nah, it was at an NAACP gala. It wasn't like he went out his way. This is before social media. This is before, Facebook was a populist tool. This was before there was a thing as Twitter and even YouTube. He said this, how people say things among quote unquote family. So he was giving like a family speech, like an elder talking to the family, showcasing his dissatisfaction with the whole situation. But I didn't agree with him, but it does not cancel out all the goodwill that Bill Cosby has done for black people and for humanity. And it's sad that people get lost in the sauce on that part. They get lost on the sauce in that part. And really, also black people was disappointed that just looking at social media, so many black folks are ready to crucify Bill Cosby over these allegations. He never had his you could argue he never had his day in court. And then that time has passed. Because a lot of people said this stuff happened 50 years ago during the civil rights era. Shit, it's like we got white folks walking around still that killed a whole bunch of black folks. They'll never see a jail cell because people say, well, that's a long time ago. Why is it a long time ago when we got these white supremacists walking around who kill black folks and lynch black folks and kill black babies? Why is it a long time ago to persecute them? But yeah, when Bill Cosby is accused of raping some white women or raping a whole bunch of white women, we can't wait to get that noose and all this other stuff up so fast. Like we'll take down the Confederate flag and we'll hang Bill Cosby ass. We take down the Confederate flag and we'll hang Bill Cosby ass in this place. That's what it sounds like. Once again, I'm not all in on Cosby either. Cause I said I poured out some things where he could have done better in terms of how he expressed his anger. I know he probably frustrated like a lot of elders, but the elders got to take responsibility too, because their thing was about integration. And not only that, it was not only to integrate, but to assimilate. See, there's nothing wrong with integration if you're coming from a position of strength, if you know knowledge of self, if you know not to compromise your own identity for the sake of being with the other. Integration is like, being yourself while being able to deal with the other people on an equal footing. Assimilation is losing all of who you are into the other people, into the other entity. Not having any sense of uniqueness that is truly your own. Now that's a dangerous situation. And Dr. King realized that before it was too late, but it was too late for him. When he said we integrated into a burning house, we lost our moral compass. We lost who we are, wanting to be with the folks who was oppressing and killing us and repressing us. See, it's like Stockholm syndrome with us as a people. But getting back to Bill Cosby and stuff like that, Bill Cosby was their boy. He was the country club nigga. Okay? Not only was he the house nigga, he was the country club nigga. He was their boy. They took care of their boy. And then their boy got out of line when he wanted to be his own man. trying to buy a network, want to do his own thing, and they put him back in his place. They killed his son. There was no accident. There was no gang shit. There was some mob shit, okay? There was some Illuminati shit, okay? They killed a person. They killed his name. First, they killed his son by killing his name, like to be able to pass along his name, have a male line of Cosby. Then they killing his legacy. Then they killing his bank account. See, white supremacy loves to fight a war of attrition with black people. They want to deplete us of all our resources, including our mind and our self-respect. This is what's happening to Bill Cosby. They're attacking him, and he's in the twilight of his years. And they're gonna kill him so many times, so many different levels. And then what's sick about white people and white supremacy is the fact that they got the machine apparatus and propaganda. They could destroy him, but yet they could clean up his image too. They got the power to influence public opinion, like Malcolm said about the media. They control the corporate media. You got 6 corporations that basically control 90% of what you see or how you see yourself, whether it be through music, movies, books, videos, whatever. That's too much power for just a small select group of people to have. But what we do as black people, we give them too much credibility. I don't give them any credibility because I recognize the game's being played. It's all propaganda, baby. I don't give them any credibility. They don't deserve credibility because they are official liars. That's their status, to lie about the truth, to distort the truth. You as black folks, we need to know the truth for ourselves. We need to know the facts. We need to do the research. Stop taking handouts, because whatever they give you, they can take away from you. And like Eleanor Roosevelt said, you can only make me feel inferior with my consent. You can only make me feel inferior with my consent, meaning that this is why I look at it. You just point me where I need to go and I'll get it myself. Because when I get it myself, I'm going to do for self. I believe in self. And you ain't going to take this shit without my permission. You're not going to take this without a fight. See, the mistake we made in Tulsa and Rosewood and Wilmington is not about building successful black businesses, not, getting permission from the white power structure to do business with folks overseas and beyond, is that we trust them. We trust white supremacists. We always want them to be our friends. They never our friends. The devil can never give you mercy. You can't beg the devil for mercy. The devil can only give you more hell and pain. And until we learn that as a people, we ain't gonna never learn, because our people not only perish because of lack of knowledge, our people perish because of lack of knowledge of self. It's not just lack of knowledge, it's lack of knowing who we are and where we come from and what we should be doing in order to have a greater future for ourselves and for our children, for our progeny. This is what we're suffering from as a people. And that comes from not controlling your institutions in terms of your education. We can't control your education, you cannot control your finance. We cannot control your finance, you cannot control your future. So these are things we gotta learn for ourselves. And that's why I'm devoted to doing this media part of my legacy. I'm devoted to getting out these words the best as I can. I'm devoted to better myself at my craft, whether it be like my art, storytelling, doing the media. This is so important for me because our people, we still asking for jobs when we should be asking for what our purpose is. We should be searching for our purpose instead of a job, because when you live your purpose, the universe will provide your needs. Like the universe will give you things you need if you live in your true purpose. We always tell we want to live a long time. I don't want to live a long time being miserable. I want to live a long time being useful. I don't want to live a long time being materialistic. Excuse me. I want to live a long time being useful. And being useful means being purposeful. Not just being busy. A lot of us are busy, but we're not being productive. I mean being purposeful, being productive. So with Bill Cosby, he cut himself out from his support base. And that's what they do in white supremacy. It's like the talented 10th. When I hear black folks, conscious black people, all these people say, well, Du Bois was a sellout because he believed in the talented 10th. No, Du Bois didn't know he wanted a talented 10th in place because it's not true. There's a certain percentage of folks that lead the whole group. That's in history. The minority changes history, not the majority. There's always a minority of people that changes history. Everybody wasn't with Castro when he led the Cuban Revolution. Everybody was not with Castro when he led the revolution. He had a small group of committed men. Some folks were not even Cuban, but they believed in what he was trying to do. And so I'm gonna read this quote from Castro. I think it's very important. I began the revolution with 82 men. If I had to do it again, I'd do it with 10 or 15 and absolute faith. It does not matter how small you are if you have faith and plan of action. That's Fidel Castro, the beard. That's before James Harden. He was the beard. Fidel Castro was the beard before James Harden. Let me read that quote again. I began the revolution with 82 men. If I had to do it again, I'd do it with 10 or 15 and absolute faith. It does not matter how small you are if you have faith and plan of action. So there's be a lesson to you, boys and girls, scholars and laymen. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. It's about the quality of your heart, of your will, your commitment, your dedication to get things done. Because to be powerful is not to brag or talk about being powerful. It's to do. It's to get results. Okay, it's to control the narrative and flip the script on their ass. So, get back to Bill Cosby. He tried to flip the script. He was trying to be in that country club boy, and he wanted to be his own man, and they put him in his place again and again. This time, this might be the nail in the coffin. But my problem with black people is that we always defend everybody else, but nobody defends us. I don't know any white celebrity that have came in defense of Bill Cosby, but I know plenty black celebrities that have defended Paula Deen, that will defend a Don Imus, and they will defend even a Hulk Hogan. My thing is, I have no problem with that, but the thing about it is, nobody defends us. Everybody uses us as a means to throw us on the bus to get ahead. Everybody, even the ones we love and respect. Even when I heard Kerry Washington, and I like Kerry Washington. I look at Scandal. I admit I'm a Scandal guy, and I like Kerry Washington. I think she's very talented. But I remember I heard her speech she did at the GLAAD Awards. You know, that's the awards like the Academies, Grammys, and Emmys for gay people who's in the entertainment industry, I believe. The GLAAD Awards, and that speech, man, she just threw us on the bus, man. We the least powerful, least respected people in America, and she just said, I'm gonna throw these niggas on the bus. She said how she want to say to justify it, but I'm saying, you know, when your own don't fear you, you got a problem. Even with Jewish folks, they're careful about what they say about Israel, okay? But nobody's careful when it comes to black folks. They just throw us on the bus. Even our own black folks get ahead. But yet, if you talk about the LGBTQ community, black folks get afraid. Black folks get scared. Some black folks will even cut you off. So this is fascinating. So I'm not even here for that, but I'm letting people know I'm putting thoughts out there. Just think about it. I remember reading about, and I also seen a documentary. I think but Richard Pryor was doing a benefit for the gay lesbian community in Hollywood. I think he was at the Hollywood Bowl. He got on stage and everybody was getting ready to laugh. They want to laugh because Bill Cosby is one of the greatest comedians of all time. And he basically said, fuck y'all. Where was y'all at when black folks getting their ass beat up and watching shit and catching hell in the movement? He was referring to the civil rights movement. And they booed him. He said, I don't give a fuck. I think he walked off stage. But you can find that on your own. I'm just telling you a little snippet of that. I'm not giving it justice. What I'm saying is, who's there for black folks? Black folks always saying we gotta unify with everybody. No, you don't. Everybody takes from us. We the well that everybody rides. Black people are the well that everybody rides. Everybody's just fucking barnacles. They're there for the ride, and when the ride gets too heavy, they take their ass on somewhere. But they use our struggle as the blueprint for their liberation. Everybody use black folks' struggle for the blueprint for their own liberation. Whether it be the white feminist movement. I remember reading somewhere where this journalist said that black women should thank the white feminist movement for freeing them. No, sister, or whoever you are, the white feminist movement should thank the black liberation movement for freeing them. That's the other way around. People like Fannie Lou Hamer knew the game. Fannie Lou Hamer lived most of her life on the plantation. She didn't know she could vote until she was 40-something years old, but she knew game what she recognized. She knew that the white feminists were trying to break up the movement because the strength of the movement, of the black liberation movement in this country, started with the black family, started with the black woman, the black man respecting each other and respecting themselves. That's how we got ahead in this country. That's how we had the paradigm shifts and all this stuff 50-something years ago. But we forget that because black power is based on unity and solidarity. White power, aka the system, is based on divide and conquer. We don't need everybody. We just need ourselves. We need somebody. We need some of us to stick together. That will make us powerful as a people. It's like when LeBron and D Wade and Chris Bosh decided to play on the same team together instead of playing against each other. They decided to play with each other. That's black power. Cause it shifts the paradigm in the NBA. Now everybody trying to figure out how we get these super teams. Look at the San Antonio Spurs. They stack on stack on stack. They got all that talent from top to bottom. They're on a mission. It's because they saw what LeBron and them did. Okay? So this is black power. And with Bill Cosby, the mistake he made, the head cut itself away from the body. Like with the talented Tim, Du Bois was correct in terms of we need black leadership, but he did not realize that integration would destroy the black community. Du Bois was correct about the talented Tim, but he did not realize that the head would be cut off from the body. When the Brown v. Board decision, when folks decided to ship their kids out of a supportive environment, when they destroyed our educational institutions, they destroyed the black community. And they're still in the process of destroying our educational institutions. These are things, and one thing Bill Cosby did, he supported black institutions. A lot of these black institutions was founded and funded by white money, and still is. And they losing out. Spelman was founded by the Rockefeller. Okay? Most of these HBCUs were founded by white people, with a few exceptions. Bethune-Cookman University, founded by Mary McLeod Bethune, with just $1.50 in the bank. And I always said Dr. Umar Johnson and so many others can learn from that example. And it's still thriving. But yeah, when they hit us in our educational institution, it destroyed the heart of the black community, because you destroyed the leadership, you destroyed the future. Some of the best high schools, believe it or not, in the country at that time were black high schools. You look at even in Washington, D.C. with Dunbar High School, used to be M Street High School. I look at Memphis. Memphis had a lot of great black high schools. They would turn out people. I take Manassas High School, one of the first black high schools in the Memphis area. Jimmy Lunsford, the great jazz swing leader, he started music education as a volunteer while he was teaching at Manassas back in the 20s. That laid the foundation for the famous Memphis sound. A lot of these high schools end up, getting band directors and stuff, and some of the greatest musicians of the 20th century. From Elvis to Isaac Hayes to everybody. Some of the greatest jazz musicians. Miles Davis talked about it in his book. How Manassas High School, where they produced this, all these phenomenal jazz musicians that played in his bands back in the 60s. But Memphis had this reputation because they started, education, music education in schools. It was started by Jimmy Lunsford, the jazz swing great, who used his best students and buddies from Fisk University to form one of the greatest swing bands of all time, which was the house band for the Cotton Club, the Jimmy Lunsford Orchestra, also known as the Harlem Express, because it was the most popular band for black folks in the United States, more popular than Duke Ellington and Count Basie. But anyway, I digress. But yes, you had schools like Manassas back in the 40s and 50s. They was developing, brilliant black folk. They were going to Spelman and Morehouse, and also the Harvard and Yale. And then you fast forward to, years later, right now, they don't even have a music education program no more. And so many great jazz musicians came out of that high school. Isaac Hayes came out that high school. Mr. Abel, the greatest band director we ever had in school history, he went to Manassas. He taught at Manassas for 25 years, the band. Great man. Thousands of people went to school, got scholarships, under his direction. We lost control of our education, our curriculum. We lost control of our destiny. Because I interviewed a sister about some years ago named Catherine Perry Thomas, Manassas High School class in 1932. And she was like the last Memphis student to play with Jimmy Lunsford. Her brother actually ended up playing for his professional orchestra, Andrew Perry. And she was a school teacher for many years. And she said it broke her heart, to see how they were doing back in the 50s and stuff like that. And then to see now the high school that she went to, class of 32, now, schools like that, they're producing functional illiterates. You got people that's graduated from high school who can't even read at the level or read at all. So this is the system. So is this like education on the plantation? Is this mental slavery or liberation? You already know what time it is. It's indoctrination. Because Memphis is a plantation town. But getting back to Bill Cosby, get back to Du Bois, yeah, he couldn't see this coming. He didn't know that the integration that we were seeking was assimilation. It was not integration. It was a Trojan horse. And it worked. Because out of that came the private and charter schools. When they try to integrate with the white folks pulled their wealthy kids out of their schools, out of those schools, even shut down some school systems for years. So they wouldn't have to go with black people to school. But yeah, we thought it was smart to take our best and brightest out of our schools and bus them to to white supremacist schools and white people environment and deal with teachers. Like, once again, what Malcolm said, anybody that will let their enemy be the primary educator of their children are fools. A whole bunch of foolish ass black people. Because now this is what we got now, where people saying this bullshit about it's 2015 and they still killing us. Well, hell, when did they stop? I didn't get that memo. I didn't get the fax. I didn't get the email. I didn't get the damn tweet that it stopped. Why would old ass black folks say they still doing it? We never stopped it. If we stopped it, they wouldn't do it. You know, when I hear black people say, well, I got to tell my kid not to talk or be. If you can't be yourself, you killing, you dying every day. You're dying a spiritual death. When you're not allowed to be yourself, when you would not allow yourself to be yourself, you are dying a spiritual death, people. You're dying a spiritual death, okay? And you pass it on to your kids, but you forgive and pray for your enemy, but you're passing on a spirit of cowardice to your kids. And they pass it on to their kids. And so we keep on getting black folks getting shot in the face, doing traffic stops for doing nothing more than not having their driver license, for doing nothing more than asking a question. They get thrown on the ground and assaulted in front of black churches. So let me get back to Bill Cosby. I go all over the place, but I'm just trying to, loosen up a little bit. But anyway, Bill Cosby. Okay. Now Camille said that a lot of these relationships were consensual. Camille Cosby, his wife, for over half a century. Now, what I think is interesting is I want to know what Camille into. See, everybody talking about Bill, but what Camille into? Is she's a voyeur? I mean, it's fascinating that a black woman that know that this black man was doing all these things, and she said it was all consensual, and I guess she don't have no problem with it because she counted their money. She's more concerned about their legacy now, no, for real. But I don't know her role in the whole thing. Was she getting these women for Bill? I mean, it's fascinating. It's like 50 Shades of Cosby, 50 Shades of Pudding, 50 flavors of Jello. I don't know what you call it. And also Hugh Hefner. Notice how nobody's touching Hugh Hefner. I'm sure that, I talked to Judge Joe Brown, he's as much as from L.A. as he is from Memphis, Judge Joe Brown. He grew up in L.A. He's an L.A. dude. People don't know that a lot of times. But he talked to me a couple of times about the Cosby thing. Hey, I used to go to Playboy Mansion myself, be wild parties, orgies and stuff like that. Why they not throwing Hugh Hefner under the bus? Because even some Playboy bunny came out and said the hell Playboy boss told her to shut the fuck up about Cosby. I'm paraphrasing it. She didn't use that type of language on CNN, but she said she allegedly reported it to her boss at Playboy, and he said shut the hell up about it. So they throwing Bill Cosby on the bus. See, Bill Cosby, Hugh Hefner is not being thrown on the bus. Playboy is not being touched because Playboy is a white folks' institution. It's a brand. Yeah, Playboy had their run-ins. Playboy did a lot of innovative things. Dick Gregory would not probably had a career without Playboy. They interviewed Malcolm X. They gave money to the movement, yada, yada, yada. But they still come from the imagination of white supremacy, right? Playboy, Punt Bunnies, Cotton Club, all that bullshit, okay? But you notice how Hugh Hefner is being protected. His legacy is being protected. So the same folks who are protecting Hugh Hefner and his legacy and brand used to protect Bill Cosby. So Bill Cosby pissed off some powerful people. And now they're going to make them pay for it. And it's costing him, not only him, costing his family, it's costing future generation not born. It's costing the folks that did business with him, people that were on the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show was coming on somewhere in the world every day. I mean, I guarantee you could go anywhere in the world at one point and find the Cosby Show playing somewhere. It's like you go to any airport in the world when at one point could find Tiger Woods everywhere in terms of advertising. You had Tiger Woods all over the place. Then after that incident happened and the girls came out, Tiger Woods, and after, Jack Nicklaus, his name Jack Nicklaus, yeah, the golf guy, the Golden Bear, and he's laughing all the way to the bank and the grave. Because Tiger Woods is through. He's done. Because he's a victim of white supremacy. He believed that bullshit. He believed what they told him. He actually believed they bullshit. Okay, and it's costing him. So, yeah, Bill Cosby, it's funny. And like I said, black celebrities, Steve Harvey, so many of them, they'll defend these white supremacists. Yeah, when it comes to black folks, they'll throw them on the bus, they'll knife them in the alley because it's so easy for us to destroy each other. But it's hard for a lot of us to point the finger and the gun at the enemy because if we do, we might lose our benefits. We might lose some crumbs on the table or on the floor. because we still eating off the white man's table and off his plate, and we don't want to lose our spot in line. And that's a damn shame, because we're teaching our kids that. Really, we the only group of people that teach our kids that. We tell them to vote, but they're not voting in their best interest. I tell you, some of the most powerful people in the world, they don't vote and they can't vote. A lot of them got felonies. A lot of them don't give a damn about voting, because you know why they got? Because they know that what controls policy is not voting, it's money. It's signing checks that don't bounce. When Dr. King said, I have a dream, he had a dream that the check wouldn't bounce, but it came back insufficient funds. Therein lies the nightmare. So it's about writing checks that don't bounce. That's how you set policy. That's how you get results in this system. It's about money with these crackers. That's the bottom line. It's not about morality. It's not about voting. See, we play little games and shit. We want to say we want to keep the system as is, but we don't want to play to win. We want to play for pride politics. I call it pride politics. And fake ass dignity and fake moral outrage. We don't want to play to win. Because when you play to win, Malcolm said, by any means necessary. When you believe in by any means necessary, that means you want to play to win. Bill Belichick, he plays to win. Tom Brady plays to win. Roger Clemens played to win. By any means necessary, god dog it. That's the mindset it takes to win. That's the heart of a champion. Your will must be greater than your skill. Your courage must be greater than your fear. But yeah, Bill Cosby, I think it's a sad situation. He got his nigga wake-up call, to paraphrase my brother, my friend Paul Mooney. I don't know him that well, but I call him my brother. He taught me like he's my friend because, you know, he never tried to sugarcoat it for our people. Anybody that doesn't sugarcoat for our people, and that's another thing I got with problem with black people, is that they want to change the way they speak around white people. They said, well, you know, you don't want to offend them. I said, they offend me when they deny that slavery didn't exist. They offend me when they say the Confederate flag is just about heritage, it's not about hate. They offend me. Because if it wasn't about hate, they wouldn't put on 4 Confederate flags at Ebenezer Baptist Church, the home church of the King family, Dr. Martin Luther King's father's church and his grandfather's church. The church where his grandma got killed on June 30th, 1974. You know, so that's another thing. We want to talk about the disrespect of the black church this summer and the silence in the silence of the black church. It's horrible. But ladies and gentlemen, scholars and laymen, my apologies for being all over the place. But I think I laid it out about Bill Cosby. Although he blocked me on Twitter, I had no problem with brother Bill Cosby. I wish him the best going forward. I hope the truth will come out. And I don't hope, I know the truth will come out. The truth will always come out. And that's the beauty of the internet. It comes out, but a lot of us don't have the critical thinking skills, training to understand or discern the truth when we see it. It stares us in the face all the time. But I would recommend, like my brother Dick Gregory, Baba Gregory would say, let's pray every day at noon at your time for the truth about anything to come out. Okay? Just pray. Just pray. That's all we got to do. So, everybody, let me see. I said Bill Cosby. Yeah, they got a bottling plant. They brought shares. Dr. J and Bill Cosby were business partners or are business partners still in a bottling plant for Coca-Cola in Philadelphia. It is ironic that both of their sons got killed within 3 years of each other under mysterious circumstances. So we'll never know. We do know the truth. You know, because that's about the hand that feeds you. That's the truth when it comes to white supremacy. But I also learned when it comes to black power, they can't take what you create. They can only take it with your permission. And you should not give it away without a fight. And let me also add, ladies and gentlemen, scholars and laymen, Bill Cosby, we talk about what's going on in Cincinnati with the police brutality, murder of brother Sam DuBose by former officer, University of Cincinnati officer Ray Tinson, whatever his name is, 10 cents, I guess. But, you know, back in 2001, when Cincinnati erupted in a riot over the police brutality and the killings of black men under police custody, it was Bill Cosby who decided to boycott the Queen City in response to how he treated black men in particular and the black community in general. Bill Cosby refused to reward the city of Cincinnati, the Queen City, with his presence in terms of his comedic shows. So he was ahead of the curve in spite of his 2004 Pound Cake mixtape. Bill Cosby did have done a lot of things for the black community and have put his money where his mouth is in terms of endorsing and advocating on behalf of the black community. So it is truly unfortunate that all that will get lost in this current, as Clarence Thomas said, this high-tech lynching of Bill Cosby. I'm paraphrasing Clarence Thomas when he talked about himself before he got confirmed for the United States Supreme Court. This high-tech lynching of Bill Cosby. And that's why a black media presence is very much needed in this time to give out a certain narrative that clashes with the official narrative on the Bill Cosby legacy. We need this not only for Bill Cosby. It's bigger than Cosby. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than us. We all be in it to win it, and we must work together in order to overcome this, because a lot of our black people are overwhelmed by trying to prove their value and worth to a white supremacist system. Once again, you cannot beg the devil for mercy. All the devil will do will give you more hell. That's all. You can't beg the devil. You got to know thy enemy and know thyself and do for self, because to do for self is to believe in self, to make one belief real in oneself. So I want to thank everybody for listening once more. We'll be back in it to win it soon. Like they say, in the words of the great Willie Jolly, Dr. Willie Jolly, a setback is a setup for a comeback. So won't y'all please come back to We All Be, because in the words of the great Duke Ellington once more, we love you madly. Keep producing and pushing. I'm out.